everyone, this is Candace and welcome back to day 11 of my 100-day health challenge. So today is a little bit longer of a check-in than last night. Last night was super busy and I got home late, so I did a really short one, but today I just want to talk a little bit more about my goals going forward. So first, confession time. I did give in yesterday and eat a little bit extra, not bread, or not white bread or wheat bread, but I did eat a little bit heavier carbs at lunchtime than I should have, with some crackers and some little additional stuff that was in the teacher's lounge, and it was really good. And I did opt for a sugar-free, gluten-free cheesecake, which was really good, but it was still also probably a little bit more than I should have done, because then I also stopped and got coffee in the afternoon, which was okay. It wasn't late or anything, and I actually didn't drink most of it till this morning. But I did get, even though it was gluten-free, I did get a chocolate zucchini bread piece, and so it wasn't the most unhealthy in the world, but occasionally it happens, and so my weight did fluctuate a bit this morning. But you know what? It's fine. It was okay, and I'm just gonna look forward and do my meals from here. And so today went really well. Breakfast was really good with some fruits and a little bit of veggies, and what else did I have? A little bit of yogurt? Yeah, that's what it was. Yogurt and fruit and veggies. That was breakfast. And then for lunch, I had some tamales. And then I had, so that was a little bit heavier, but it was still not bad at all. And it was homemade. And then I also had some vegetables with that. And of course, all today has been water. And for dinner, I'm gonna have some of the turkey and vegetable dish I made this weekend. And so it'll be a pretty easy going. And if I eat any kind of dessert tonight, it'll probably be yogurt with a little bit of fruit, or maybe like a small piece of dark chocolate, like 75 to 90% dark chocolate. And so yeah, so that's kind of today's food. I had my supplements and everything, and water's been going really well. I've actually been slowly increasing over a half gallon a day. Well, I was technically above a half gallon, but I was kind of fluctuating a little bit. I'm a little bit over that, and I'm not trying to overdo that. It's just that it is important for me to be taking a little bit more water, especially as I'm going to be doing more movement and things. And then of course, that's kind of my next goal. So actually going back to my food goals, I'm gonna be a little bit more intentional about measuring things, not necessarily measuring how much I'm eating, but what I'm eating. So remember, my goal was to exceed no more, sorry, that didn't make sense. To not exceed 30 grams of carbs per meal, and to get no less than 30 grams of protein. And so I'm really trying to pack in the protein per meal to help with that as I'm moving and trying to build muscle mass. And then also, though, making sure those carbs are not the main source of my energy, or that they're being then converted and stored and where I don't want them. So that is kind of my goal. I'm also aiming to eat far more vegetables. Yes, protein rich, but sticking with, if I am eating meats, sticking with poultry like chicken and turkey, and occasionally bacon, but really I'm gonna stop doing that soon too, probably for a little while, just to lessen the sodium. And kind of, if I'm going to eat anything, have eggs for breakfast to have that protein, but not the same amount of issues that unfortunately bacon and pork fat and all that have. And so yeah, with that, so I've done pretty well eliminating all those things, but I was kind of more getting into the habit, right? You want to slowly build. And so I was getting into the habit of eating more consistent 3 meals a day with my s.m.a.r.t. Advantage after breakfast and then after lunch. And then if I need to, in between there, occasionally if I had to snack on some veggies like cucumbers or some nuts, just a little bit of them. And also, having my metabolic oil in my water and or a piece of gum to help tide over that feeling if I do have it. And so along with that, So now my next big piece I talked about was movement. And so I know I talked about this yesterday, doing 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes of movement on each of those times. And so I am very much going to now focus a little bit more on that. I think right now I'm gonna experiment with getting up early in the morning. I have super early mornings, but you have more willpower in the morning. It's actually there are studies that show that we have more willpower in the morning because we make so many other decisions throughout the day that we actually do decrease willpower into the end of the day. That's oftentimes a lot of times why we give in and eat things that we shouldn't, like desserts and stuff. Why we decide, oh, I'm just too tired to exercise, which is actually a valid point too. Sometimes you've just had such a busy day, you don't feel like it anymore. So I'm gonna try to intentionally see how this goes because I do have such early mornings. And so I'm going to try my best, especially as it gets colder, I can exercise inside. And when it's dark outside, I don't have to go out and try to walk in the dark and anything. So I am gonna try to 2 to 3 times a week have a half hour in the morning and be doing like dancing indoors or some weight training, that kind of thing, maybe some stretching, those sorts of things. And then I still wanna be walking in the afternoon intentionally, but I'm starting with 2 to 3 days a week just to really focus in and make sure that I'm building that habit slowly and progressively. But that's also how I'm gonna measure it, is 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes each of those times, okay? And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes all at once. It could be like a 15-minute and a 15-minute in the day. I'm just kind of trying to gauge how best I'm going to do and building that habit slowly. And I think that's very important because yes, we want goals that we can, like SMART goals. S, specific, M, measurable, A, attainable, R, realistic, and T, they have like a time frame. So for me, I'm being specific and wanting to do movement, exercise, dance, some kind of aerobic or weight training, measurable 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes in each of those 2 to 3 times. I believe that's very attainable. All right, I'm moving a lot anyways, but to intentionally do it, I think that won't be too overwhelming with my schedule. And it's important to me, but I don't want to overwhelm myself at once. So I feel like that's realistic and attainable and also has a time limit, 2 to 3 times a week, 30 minutes in each of those 2 to 3 times. So I feel like that's a pretty good SMART goal. It's gradually progressing, but you know what? That's good. That's good to start that way. Same thing with food. My goals right now are lots of fruits and vegetables and definitely high in protein, specifically 30 grams or more per each meal. And 30 grams or under of carbs. And so I think that's a pretty good measure there too on my nutrition, and making sure it's as close to the way it was supposed to be, as close to the plant, the whole food, or knowing where my meat is being sourced, right? There's lots of things with commercially sourced meat and what we find in the grocery store that's just, even the stuff that's organic or whatever, do we really know where it's coming from? It's not even necessarily certain brands are bad, whatever. It's just also that, do we really know where it's coming from? So I'm actually just found a teacher at school whose son has chickens. So I'm gonna be getting my eggs from them now going forward. And I think that'll be really good. And then I always try to go to the farmers markets. I've been lax on that lately. So I'm gonna try to do that in the coming weeks, especially as the winter farmers market gets going, that I really want to be eating what's in season, local. One, I'm supporting local business, but then I'm also know exactly where my food's coming from. A lot of these businesses I'm familiar with, some people I know. So I'm just trying to, think through those things. And there's small changes, if you don't have that accessible, don't worry about that. Do the best you can. Small changes, they add up. 365 days of small changes in a year is a lot. It's gonna add up. And so, and 1 to 2 pounds a week is going to add up. So these are just the things I'm going to be doing. And today's been a good day. I still have some things to do today, but I am doing a lot better with making sure I'm in bed on the earlier end, like no later than 10. And sometimes even 8, so I can wake up early. I'm gonna be doing that more too as I try to exercise in the morning. I'm gonna be going to bed earlier so that I can get up early and have the willpower and the strength and the energy to do that. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. There's a little bit of brief on the SMART goals. I know we hear that a lot and we see it in other things, but that's kind of where I am right now, and it's going well. I did gain a couple of pounds back today, but you know what? I'm still totally trending down, and I'm very excited. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye.